Join the Twitchiest community $500 cash giveaway, guys, by using the link in the description down below. One grand prize winner will win $500, and 3 second place winners will go away with a Monstercat Battle Pass. So check it out in the description down below, and the winners will be picked on June 30th. So stay tuned for the winners. Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Tsukuyomi a jungle guide. So we're going to be starting off, of course, with our traditional starters here with Eye of the Jungle, going into our tier 1 mace for that 15 power, couple of healing potions, and a Hand of the Gods with our blink, of course. Now you can go a more passive start on Tsuki for those that need to have the Boomba's Dagger. The Boomba's Dagger and the Boomba's Hammer late game is pretty dang good on Tsuki. You can get away with that. You simply start the Boomba's Dagger and then tier 2 boots, and then you won't have the Hand of the Gods. If you don't have the Hand of the Gods, that means you're gonna need your solo laner to basically help you with the clear. Otherwise, it's gonna be quite slow. So you're not gonna do kind of this start, which is more meta now. You're gonna kind of do the old start where you just farm the jungle together. It can put your solo laner a little bit behind, though. So on Tsuki, we are going to be starting with our 1. This is also the ability that we are going to max out first. This is gonna be our main form of jungle clear. It's gonna be our main form of PvP damage as well. It's gonna go through all the jungle, which is fantastic. So whoop, right through all those jungle camps. And it is also going to slow the targets that we hit. And if we get close to them, we're going to be able to actually pick it up and kind of utilize it again. I'm going to go for the quick stun right here onto the Chunga, and we will be able to grab that first blood. Fun fact, you can see that there Gilgamesh also did this start. The reason why you do that start where you solo the speed and do the camp and then come right to mid is because it can put so much pressure on the mid laner. And if they're a slower, clear god, like a Chang'e, you can see they immediately get put into so much pressure. So at level 2, we grabbed our 2. This is going to be our disarm and stun. So it's a disarm at first, and then it leads into a stun on that final little slap. As far as using this ability, you don't have to do anything too crazy. It fires on like the left side, then the right side, then the middle. But you can actually utilize it just as the middle section the whole time. So it does like a little left, right, middle. But if you have them right in that middle section, they will get hit by it all 3 times. Anyway, so you don't actually have to do any craziness whipping back and forth or nothing. At first, everybody thought that, fun fact, everybody thought you were gonna have to use the ability like this, left, right, and then middle at first when he first came out. But that is not the case with Tsuki. But that's how we all thought it was gonna work. On paper.
About time. Sweet unlock.
So level 3, I grabbed another point in my 1. Now level 4, we are going to get that point into our caltrops. Early on, the caltrops are not that big of a deal. This is the ability we're going to max out last. But they do eventually become pretty helpful, particularly for the passive ranged auto that it will provide us. So one thing you need to know about Tsuki is his autos, which are probably the funkiest part about his kit. So basically every other auto, you're going to be going back between your 2 different weapons, which I will not even attempt to pronounce. So you see in my regular autos, it's going to be a auto and then the little AoE and then a little bonus action here and then a little AoE. So you have basically 2 distinct auto attacks. So you do have a built-in AoE auto. And you also have a little bonus damage on one of them. That's just basically going back and forth. You can see the mana heal, the health heal, bonus damage, etc. And then the one that has the 50% cleave that restores your mana. So that's just going to be going back and forth the entire time. The other part of your passive is your 1 and your 3. So if you look over here at the little passive meter, there's kind of 2 parts to it. One is the actual blade section and one is the little circles. So the little circles are gonna light up when I actually use my 1 and my 3. And that means that I've charged up these ranged auto attacks. And then it will go back through them and utilize those ranged autos. The blades glow up when we're getting that passive from our autos. So our ranged autos on our 1 and a 3 are kind of a big deal for Suki. He's, for all intents and purposes, a ranged assassin. We're gonna go for the stun here on Chang'e. Use some of my ranged autos. Gonna kill him really quick with my ultimate, which is gonna launch me into the tower, so I gotta be careful there. But that's gonna be fine and dandy. So your ranged one is just gonna basically be this giant basic attack. It's gonna steal movement speed from the enemy, so this is what we really need for our ganking. Ah! Speaking of getting ganked. Ah! Oh no! Help me! Help me, Tom Cruise! Help me, Abra! So we're gonna slide ourselves out of that one by using our 2, which we'll talk about in a second. But the 1, you throw out the ability, nice, it does damage, all sorts of cool stuff, but then you use it, when you use the auto, that's gonna actually slow down the enemy's movement speed, which is like the part of this ability that really helps with the ganking. Our 3, on the other hand, our bonus auto is gonna do a lot of extra damage. And this damage not only procs on gods, it'll also proc on things like towers. And fun fact, you can hit towers from outside of their aggro range with Tsukuyomi, so we'll talk about that in a second. And it's an intended mechanic. It's not like it's a bug or anything. So as far as our 2 goes, you can see also we used it as a getaway skill because it does give you 25% bonus movement speed while you're channeling it. So while I'm actually using this, I gain a little bonus movement speed, so I helped use some of that movement speed to get me outside of the Gilgamesh ult, and then I made sure to turn around and actually hit him with that final stun part to give myself a little bit of room between me and him to help me with the getaway. Finally, with that ultimate, of course, you all know the ulti. You fire out 4 beams. The more beams you hit, the more damage you're gonna do, because you're gonna hit them with kind of that secondary strike. So I'm gonna ulti out of the chalk, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna go through, try to do the secondary damage, but the target is already dead. So now I'm gonna back it right on up.
Freedom!
Gonna start working on a Jotun's Wrath. Cooldown is everything on Suki. We want basically cap CDR, which is why that Boomba's hammer would work so well in theory, but the problem with Boomba's hammer is you have to start with Boomba's dagger, which is just so much worse for the early game than the Eye of the Jungle. So I'm gonna save my point here at level 8, so I can get a final point in my 1, as well as the second point in my ultimate. Quick little tidbit before I forget, you can have the auto attack from your 1 and your 3 saved up, use them, and then immediately use your abilities again, and then use your auto attacks again. So you can kind of theoretically have like 4 ranged autos in a row if you had built them up. So right now I've got my 3 built up, right? And if I use my 1, now I've got my 1 and my 3 range autos built up. So if I were to like do this before combat and then wait to go into combat, and then I go auto, 3, and then I can just go right back into it. So that doesn't like ever leave your character or anything until you actually utilize those. So you can basically have 4 in a row on those ranged auto attacks, which is quite nice. So sometimes it may even be beneficial to just like use them when you're running out of the base, just to kind of get that passive stacked up, particularly in the later stages of the game where maybe you're going to go directly into a team fight or something. Get that Jotun's Wrath, how about the CDR, and of course make sure we're buying sentry wards, regular wards on our back, etc. For that official level order on Suki, that is going to be 4, 1, 2, 3. So we grab our ultimate whenever we can, because that's going to level up the damage, and it does so much damage. Then the 1, because it's going to be damage, and it's a very low cooldown ability. You can see I've already got down to 8 seconds. And remember, you get additional CDR off of this ability if you actually pick it up off of the god that you throw it into. So it gets excessively low, but you have to be up and basically melee range in order to get that continued -4 second cooldown for picking it up.
Your left tower is under attack.
Then our 2, because our 2 is going to increase the stun duration. It's going to increase the damage as well. So we'll want to make sure that we get that. So if I walk right up right here to this guy, you're going to see it's actually going to completely refresh my 1. I'm going to go ahead and ulti the Chang'e through this wall, which should be enough damage to go ahead and put him down. Throw myself down a little call trap as well for peel, just in case somebody comes from behind me. Another important thing to note, as you just saw, Tsuki ulti will go through walls, so you can utilize it as kind of a movement ability in that manner. I didn't want to use my blink or anything. I knew I'd be able to kill the Chang'e if I just hit a couple of them. So I just used my ulti right through the wall and kill her. Now, you will always teleport to your target that you hit. Even if they die, you'll still teleport to that target location. So you do need to be careful with Sumi ult. You don't want to just like ulti somebody willy-nilly under a tower. That's at like full HP. That's not going to be dead when you get there. Or if there's a bunch of people around them, whatever. Because you're about to YOLO teleport into their entire team or the tier 2 tower or whatever. So you do actually need to be a little careful when you're using it, that you're not putting yourself too much into harm's way. So we're gonna grab ourselves the Hydras up here next, give ourselves that 30% CDR, and Hydras just pairs so well with Tsuki because basically you're gonna be like 1 auto attack, 3 auto attack, 2 auto attack. You already naturally want to factor in autos in between your abilities because of your passive that gives you those ranged autos. So it just naturally works so well together on Tsuki, and he also gets that, you know, nice range proc on the Hydras, which is pretty sick. So I want to kind of show you guys just here for a second that you can actually auto attack the towers from outside of the range with Tsuki. So my auto attack range on this ability, as well as the 3, is slightly bigger than the actual range of the tower. So I screwed up on the first one, but you can actually see that I can launch these autos, and now Chalk is body locking them, but you can actually hit the tower from outside the range, which is a really big deal, particularly later in the game when you've got more of a full build going, because it lets you poke out some of these towers, or if they get really low and you just need to get the last hit, you just throw down your 3 or your 1, you get that passive built up, you walk right up to basically that tower line, and then you can go ahead and throw down those auto attacks. It's easier to do with the 3 than the 1, because the 3 is actually a little bit longer in that manner, but you can do it with both of them. It's cheeky, but it's also intended, so you shouldn't feel bad for using it.
Back, brother.
I need to go farm a little bit more, back up, get our Hydras, continue to look out for some ganks. So our standard combination on Tsuki is mostly gonna be ranged poke. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make on Tsuki is that the first thing they do is they full commit. They blink in, they pop their 2 and their ulti, and they are just absolute YOLO, in it to win it, having a blast. Tsuki is actually really good at poking down the target from range, particularly in team fights. So in a 1v1 situation, you can basically YOLO it up with Tsuki. Like if you're just going for a gank and there's one person, it's whatever. But as you get into the team fight stage, you really are going to be sitting back and using your 1 and 3 over and over again for the poke. So you're gonna go 1 and you're gonna auto, right? And then you're gonna 3 and you're gonna auto, and then you're gonna wait for your cooldown. And then you're gonna 1 auto, 3 auto. And between all of the damage that you're gonna get from those abilities and your autos, it's not uncommon to poke people down 20, 30, 40, 50% before the fight even starts. And I'm talking tanks as well as squishies. So it's very important that you're just using your 1 and your 3 over and over and over again in order to get that range poke. Your ultimate on Tsuki and your 2 have 2 different things that they're good at. They're both great damage abilities, but they're also great getaway abilities. And so you should have it in your mind to use them as such. Your 2 gives you the bonus movement speed, which can help you get away. Your ultimate gives you CC immunity. So if you want to use your ultimate as a getaway skill, you need to make sure you're not actually hitting anybody with it. So you need to purposefully miss it, aim in the direction that's away from their team wherever you're trying to run. And it can be a very good getaway skill as well. So I don't know what Medusa has up. Oh, I am going to be in trouble right here, so it's a little bit too late for me. I'm going to go ahead and pop a beads, just try to get myself out of this one. Maybe I can actually turn around on Medusa. Nope. As it turns out, they didn't use any of their abilities earlier on in that fight. We will make it a 1-for-1. But that was Medusa, all sorts of stuff. I kind of assumed that they had used some abilities earlier. As it turns out, they did not. But that's also a good example. So I started using my ultimate right there on the Medusa, and then the Sobek showed up. So once I've started using it and hit her once, I've already committed. You can't just like turn around and start like shooting nothing. Once you hit one, you're automatically going to that target, and then whoever it hits last will be who you go to last. So just to clarify for those that don't know how it works, if you've got 3 people in a line and you ulti through, it's gonna proc on them in order. So it would be the front person would be number 1, the middle person would be number 2, and the back person would be number 3. That's how you would teleport to them, which means that you would end up at the very end teleporting to that back person wherever they may be. So it does work in order, and you can hit basically everybody with this because you get basically 12 charges out of it. So you can have up to basically 12 hits because you can hit up to 3 gods, and you can hit each of them up to 4 times. I'm gonna look over here at this Chalk because he just used his teleport. See if I can get some nice little damage on him. Use my 1. Go ahead and hit him with that. I'm gonna get real close to him. You're gonna watch the cooldown on my 1. Oh, but go away because I get that -1 second. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go aggressive on this. I don't really have a way out at this point, so I might as well just kind of go for it. Gonna save my 2 right here for the disarm and stun on the Chuck. Also gives me a little bit of bonus movement speed, try to avoid some abilities, and it looks like I will probably be able to get out of this one. So after my Hydras, I know that I'm gonna need some penetration against this team. You can see they've got a Chalk, a Sobek, a Gilgamesh. They are going to be very, very tanky. So I am working myself into a Heart Seeker, although I just realized I made a build mistake. I'm gonna get myself a Brawlers. I wasn't paying enough attention to their composition. That's on me. I should have probably gotten a Brothers Beat Stick as my 3rd item instead of the Hydras, but I see that I need it now. Looking at their team, they've got a Sobek who's got self-sustain, they've got a Chang'e who's got team sustain, they've got Chalk who's got self-sustain, Medusa's gonna be a lifesteal, so they're gonna have a ton of healing, so I definitely need to make sure I've got a Brawlers to help out my team. So I'm gonna drop whatever I'm building right now, which was gonna be the Heart Seeker, and I'm just gonna start working on to that. Brawlers immediately for my team. Tsukuyomi is a fantastic applier of Brawlers, just by the nature of having all these ranged abilities. Plus, of course, his ultimate is a real easy way to get Brawlers onto the entire enemy team without even really thinking about it, particularly in a team fight.
Your right tower has been destroyed.
So in those fights, just make sure you're keeping in mind that your 2 and ulti have both aggressive and defensive properties. So your 3 is a lot of the times, you're not gonna even necessarily use the 3 for that much damage. You're kind of just gonna use it as a little bit of a zoning technique. So if there's like a bunch of people coming from this way, I'm gonna try to cut off that direction, right? So that if they walk through it, they take a little bit of damage. I can turn around and continuously throw my 1, throw some autos, usually while maintaining my distance as well. You can see even if I run around these harpies on them, the damage is okay. Like 148 isn't bad, but it's gonna be a lot more difficult to do on players. So I'm gonna ulti right now. I'm just trying to find the Medusa through this wall, trying to use it as kind of a getaway skill. Teleported me to the other side of that Gilgamesh ult and kind of got me out of harm's way a little bit, but not quite enough to get away. But that's kind of the idea of using Suki's ult as an escape. That time I specifically wanted to hit one person. I wanted to hit the Medusa over the wall so I could have a way out of that fight since I got caught out. Now, I would normally go back and try to get my Heartseeker, but I'm getting close to level 20, which means I'm going to save up my money and I'm going to get myself the Protector of the Jungle. Now, another item that is really popular on Tsukuyomi that I do not like in the jungle is Soul Eater. Soul Eater is fantastic on a solo lane Tsukuyomi. You'll see a decent amount of solo laners right now pick it up. You'll see Wukong's pick it up. You'll see Tsukuyomi's pick it up. Kamazo's using the solo lane. I don't particularly like it as a jungler. Right now, we're in a very heavy damage burst meta. AKA, you know, check out hard hunters are hitting. I like to be able to basically go back for the one shot on the hunters, on the mages. And if I need to get myself a defense item, maybe grab myself something like a Mantle of Discord because I'll teleport right on top of them. Then I'll get that Mantle of Discord. So right now, this is a really awkward spot for us. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to go to stun the Medusa, and then I'm going to ult in and do as much damage as I can because right now I'm just kind of zoning. I'm going to pop my beads, try to walk away here. We are still on this fire giant. I think it actually is possible for us to do. So I'm going to walk in back to the fire, and we're going to be able to steal that away. Gonna try to keep my distance right now between me and the Chalk and just use kind of my range autos right there to poke him down. So now I need to back up, get myself that Protector of the Jungle, and then we'll finally loop ourselves back around getting the Heartseeker. Another great item that I love on Suki is Erendite. Erendite after your ulti is going to give you some of that bonus movement speed. You're going to be able to follow up right with the Hydra's proc, with the Erendite's proc, bada bing, bada boom. And chances are if I sell my boots, that is the item that I will go. It'll give me that nice 40% CDR. It's also a great replacement item for the Jotun's Wrath in the later stages of the game as well. Here at Gilgamesh over in the left-hand side jungle. So I gotta be a little careful there. At this point, we should probably all group up and get to middle lane. Normally, you would shove left lane, but we already have the tier 2 down over there, and it's still a little early, so we want to make sure we get all these tier 2s down, get us that bonus gold and XP for the team. You can also go a hybrid build on Suki. You can go the more shifter, shield, void, shieldy, and Sheely style of action. But I find that right now, Suki works much better as a full damage gun, where you can really one-shot those backliners. A lot of Smite right now is just trying to one-shot the enemy hunter before they one-shot your team. So on most of my assassins in the jungle, I go pretty dang damage heavy. Now we still do have a full 2 minutes on this fire. Middle lane is really the only lane we got a lot of creeps in. So I'm gonna call for the attack middle lane, and I'm gonna use my range autos right here. Keep some distance between me and that Sobek, who just got body blocked by that pillar so hard. You can see I'm not doing anything too crazy. I'm not trying to dive in until everybody gets a little bit lower. And now I'm going to ulti myself onto the Medusa, which is going to bring me a lot farther in. But I should be able to go ahead and finish that kill. So Tsukuyomi's ultimate is more of an ability that you use a little bit later on. We actually might be able to attack the Titan because of how much healing now we have. We can try to utilize this bonus healing. I think we can just end the game. If we didn't have so much healing in our composition, we wouldn't be able to do this right now, but we've got a Ra, a Guan Yu, Yamoja. Like, we've got healing on every single person on our team, and so we're actually going to be able to run in and just immediately kill the Titan right there instead of having to typically back up. Probably would have lost somebody if we didn't have this much healing, and we wouldn't have been able to go in and slay the Titan because the Titan damage would have been too much, but not when you got that much healing on your team. Another good reason not to build the Soul Eater when you have that much healing on your team is because the enemy is definitely going to build anti-heal, and so you're going to get a lot less value out of that sustain. So on the Tsukuyomi, you do not want to just throw out the ultimate as your first thing. You often want to wait until the team fight is already about midway through, then use your ultimate, because it is going to bring you out of position. So you want people to have used a couple of abilities, maybe have lost a little bit of HP, and then you'll be able to just absolutely wreck the backline because Suki does so much damage. So before you do that, just make sure you're using your 1 and your 3 on repeat for that extra range damage, guys. Our poor Heartseeker never got finished, but that is our Tsukuyomi jungle guide. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.